Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sebring International Raceway. At least I think we're at Sebring. And round number 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge's 11th season, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Buttkicker here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and right here by my side in the commentary box is Larry Lefty McLeod, along with Jonathan Grabowski, the model of good health, working behind the scenes, giving us all the best views of tonight's action. So, nestled in the heart of Florida, this legendary circuit has been the proving ground for champions over 7 decades now, and today it plays host to another epic chapter in the World Challenge as some of the best virtual GTP, GT3, and LMP2 racers prepare to take on the relentless challenge of this iconic 3.74, let's just call it 3 3/4 mile track for 90 minutes of action this evening, with its mix of high-speed straights, technical corners, and famously bumpy surface. Tonight, Sebring is the true test of man, woman, machine, and teamwork. And good evening, Larry. How you doing tonight?
I am doing great. I love being in Florida this time of year. It's a whole lot better than being in Michigan, I'll tell you that.
Bet it is.
I am definitely looking forward to tonight as we've kind of made the turn now toward the final stretch here in Season 11. There are 2 rounds after this one, but tonight it's a big one. 90 minutes here tonight. And that always puts a test here for drivers to show patience, pit strategies, and all those things seem to come out in an event like this. And for those trying to win championships or finish in the podium, I think tonight's going to be pretty critical to score well. So I think we'll have a lot of folks really itching to stay in it as long as they can and to put their strategies right. But then again, it's the World Challenge. Chaos might just reign supreme.
Might just ensue, and we might not have to wait until minute 76 for it, right, Larry?
We may not have to wait that long. But we will soon find out here. I'm definitely looking forward to tonight. Should be a good one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So our racers, they're out for their 15-minute qualifying session here, Larry, to set the grid for tonight's 90-minute endurance sprint, kind of, sort of, whatever race. And let's quickly take a look as we have 3 different classes running this evening. We've got 2 different prototype classes and then our GT cars. Of course, you can pick out the GT3 racers, all of them tonight. Have those Ricmotech red number boards on the sides of their cars and the red mirrors and windshield banners and end plates on their wings. But then we've got the 2 different prototypes. We've got, for example, right now, our LMP2 racers like Caleb Lehman, we're watching on track right now. The LMP2 cars, all the Dallara chassis machines, all drivers in the same type of car. They've got the blue number boards on the sides with the blue mirrors, as well as the end plates on the wings. And then we've got the many different chassis that make up GTP. And we're looking right now at Tanner Dibble driving the number 963 Porsche 963, currently your provisional pole sitter. And all of our GTP racers, they've got the black number boards on the sides of their cars and black mirrors, windshield banners, yada, yada, yada. And so, Larry, let's quickly take a look as we've got a number of racers on what will be their 4th and flying lap. We give all of our racers 4 attempts to set a flying lap. They have the track all to themselves, and of course the fastest times in each one of our classes will set the grid as we give a split start. We have all the GTP cars starting together, all the LMP2 cars starting together, and then all the GT3 cars starting together. As we mentioned, we're watching Ben Rose right now in the number 5 Acura. He is looking to make up some ground. He is currently 0.3 of a second, probably not 0.3, 0.03 of a second off of Tanner Dibble in that battle for pole in GTP. Over in LMP2, Josh Chinsky looking to continue his run of good luck. He was our fastest driver in the class during practice this week, and currently our provisional pole sitter with, I think, Kyle Stryker is maybe the only racer left on track in LMP2. And actually, I think we do have at least one more racer out there right now. Josh Vidal is out there on track as well. That's who we're watching right now, looking to improve on 5th position. We'll have to see. Aaron Beaver has not taken to the track yet, with a little bit less than 5 minutes remaining in qualifying. And in GT3, Mike Dam from Orion Racing, currently your provisional pole sitter. He's got a little bit over 0.2 of a second, about almost a quarter of a second on Leo Dragota, his teammate Bailey Petrowski, who is looking to continue his great initial run in the GT class here this season in the World Challenge after jumping over from GTP. Bailey Petrowski, currently your 3rd fastest driver. That's who we're on board with right now. He's only 1/10 of a second back from Leo Dragota and about 4/10 or so back from Mike Dam. Travis Schwenke, currently your 4th fastest driver. Travis has completed all of his flying laps. But we have a number of drivers that haven't finished, and maybe the biggest surprise, Larry, Jennifer McDonald from BTL Motorsports in her BMW. She brought her car back to the pits after lap number 3. She was your fastest GT3 racer during practice this week.
Well, I'm looking down the list here a little bit. I'm not sure Aaron Beaver is actually going to make the start of this. He's not currently logged into the session, so we're going to keep an eye on that as a potential development story there out of LMP2.
And likewise, David Payton from D2D Sim Racing in his GT3 Ford Mustang. Not in the session either. But let's do this, Larry, as time is starting to wind down. We've got a little bit over 3 minutes remaining in qualifying. Let's bring in Frito Sport Racing's John Casey, he's racing, of course, in GT3 and Chevy Corvette this season. Currently 4th in the championship, just behind David Klimovich.
All right, joining us here pre-race, John Casey. And John, I see 40 some odd names in the entries list tonight. Are you ready for a large field here at Sebring?
I hope so. We're going to be as ready as we are, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be potentially hectic. How do you manage a start like this? How do you manage to, your positioning going into that sort of funnel turn 1? What's your strategy on starting tonight?
Well, my qualifying is not usually my strong point, so I'm usually in the back, usually around the end there somewhere. So I don't know. You just have to take it easy a lap. The cold tires will kill you if you try to push it too much. So I've learned to not do that and just let them warm up a little. It's gonna back up in every turn anyway. So
Yeah.
just
Hey, with the
staying out of
90
trouble is the biggest thing in this league, in this
Mhm.
in this race anyway. I've seen so.
Yeah, and tonight being 90 minutes, does that change anything for you?
Um, it makes you think more of can you do it in one pit stop, maybe, but I haven't quite figured it up yet to see exactly if you can do it.
Yeah, that seems like it'd take a lot of practice and fuel number calculations to figure out if you could do it at one stop. But I don't know. Maybe we'll see a few tonight. But from your standpoint, do you look at the standings and try to figure out who you need to be racing with to stay ahead of them in the points?
Well, I'm fourth right now, I think, behind David by 11 points or so. Uh,
Hmm.
just stay clean. I've had 3 podiums
Hmm.
this year, and that's just basically staying out of trouble, and hopefully I can do it again. Road Atlanta really hurt my feelings because I was pretty quick there, and then I ended up in the wreck lap 3, I think. My fault. I caught the curve, and it just kicked me too much, and it happens. But sorry to rush for that.
Yeah, those things definitely happen once. Might try to minimize those for sure. But no, it'll be an interesting night tonight here at Sebring Big Giant Field again, as we're kind of in the final turn of the season here, just a couple rounds to go. Um, but it's great having you here pre-race, and we like to interview folks here, kind of get your thoughts. But I also like to understand more about who you are, what you do when you're not sim racing. So, what do you do? Either family life, work life, hobbies.
I'm married with 5 kids. I live in Tennessee. I'm an electrician during the day, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
5 kids. That'll keep you busy.
yeah, most of them are grown. I have one that's not. Most of them are grown.
Yeah.
It's a hobby. I never really grew up where I could afford to race and always wanted to. And during COVID, I seen that this was available and I jumped on it. I've been racing ever since. And I'm
Yeah.
getting there. I'm getting there. Still got a lot to learn, but it's
Yeah.
slowly coming along.
Yeah, well, it definitely is. It's you picked a great league to jump into, and like all of us, we're just kind of like thinking it may have started for COVID, but something they could easily stick with. It's been a lot of fun for us too. All right, well, John, appreciate you joining us here. Is any special mentions, shout outs you want to give to anybody who might be watching?
Uh, my family, my wife, my teammates from Frito Sport, they do a great job. Greg in the race with me, he pretty much sets me up every week on the setup, so it's a team thing.
Yeah. All right.
And
Well,
yeah, hopefully it comes out well.
let's hope so. About 90 minutes away from seeing how it winds up. So, John, good luck tonight, and keep it
Thank
clean.
y'all. Thank y'all and all the admins. Y'all do a great job every week.
I appreciate that. We'll keep
Definitely
trying.
appreciate that. So, John, you better hurry to the grid. Don't want you having to start from the pit lane tonight.
All right.
All right, good
there
luck,
you go,
John.
everybody. That is John Casey from Frito Sport Racing. As we mentioned, he is currently running, although we normally don't track it on the broadcast, Larry. He is currently running fourth in the GT4 AM field, and we do behind the scenes still track our pro class and AM class. So great for him, and as you mentioned, he's got 3 podiums so far this season. Great season for John. All right, so Larry, tell you what, I'll pick up the different prototype cars if you'll take the GT cars, and let's run down the starting grid. We'll start off with GTP, where Tanner Dibble from DNA Motorsports holds off his teammate Ben Rose with a difference there of almost a half second. That'll make up row number 1. And then we've got Jordan Butler, another DNA racer, also in an Acura, much like his teammate Rose. He'll start on the inside of row number 2. Phantom Power Racing's Dalton Fredericks will start third in the Porsche 963, with Jim Pfeiffer from Sector 5 Racing, also racing a Porsche, the 00 car, will start 5th. Starting 6th tonight, it is going to be Ryan Reisman from DNA Motorsports. He's in the 414 Cadillac. Then Jake Zito will start 7th with Bobby Childs 8th. That makes up your 4-row field in GTP. Now, actually, let's add one more. Adam Johnson from the wrong stuff. Now your front row in LMP2. It is Josh Chinsky from SRT Esport looking for another win here this evening, and the number 18 Delara with Caleb Lehman starting next to him on the outside of row 1. Then we've got Kyle Strikers starting in 3rd with Charlie Hosea starting in 4th in the number 100 car. Josh Vidal and Aaron Beaver will make up row number 3.
Let's get into the GT3s on the front row and on the pole tonight. It's an all-Orion lockout, but on the pole tonight, it's Mike Dam leading them down the way into first turn. He'll be alongside teammate Leo Dragota. Second row, the D2D entry of Bailey Petrowski, your points leader, snuck in on the second row. And I say snuck in because behind him or outside of him is going to be another Orion driver in Taj Edwards. And on the inside of row 3, guess what? It's another Orion driver, Travis Schwenke. Travis will be alongside Lyndon Swaby in row 3. Row 4. Guess what? It's another Orion driver. It's going to be Rob Hartley alongside Zach Mosley and from Mosley Motorsport. Behind them, Brian Bennett from Sector 5 Racing will be alongside Jennifer McDonald from BTL Motorsports. Then we've got Alex Brown from Eagle Beavers alongside Stacy Bertrand from Rockefeller Racing. And then Jeff Brooks from The Wrong Stuff alongside Aerokinetics Chase West. Behind them, Ilya Speaker from Rockefeller Racing alongside Walk-In Pace Racing's Mariana Barrios. Behind them, Jeff Jacobs on the inside in SCCA Foundation alongside David Steiner from Dominate Racing. Next row back, Chris Thorman from D2D and Lucas Dragota from Dragon Sport Racing. Behind them, you've got Keith Stein on the inside and Joe Nagy on the outside from Dominate Racing. Actually, I think I had that. Should be Mariana Barrios.
Barrios, yeah.
My bad. Yeah, David Steiner from Dominate Racing. And then you got Chris Thorman, Dragota, Stein, and Nagy. I'll get there. David Klimovich will be on the inside behind there. Slow Bros Racing. Stephen May from Mayforce. John Casey, we just talked to from Frito Sport. His teammate, Greg Brockway. And then David Payton, if he joins the sim, will be on the last row from D2D Sim Racing. And I'll try not to screw that up next time.
Thank you. Don't make that mistake twice, Larry.
I love the flock of gators here. We haven't talked about them yet here.
No.
The DNA entries.
There are many of them here. Yeah, exactly. I guess we should mention that we see them every time we race at Sebring, Larry,
Yep.
because they literally come out of the woodwork or maybe out of the swamp.
Maybe they'll be at Daytona in a couple of weeks because we're going to be going there.
That is possible. One of these days I'm gonna go to the Gator Shack, which is a pretty famous little restaurant about 5 miles from Sebring International Raceway, and I'm always wary that perhaps an Acura or Porsche GTP car will come out of the woods back behind that restaurant.
The Gator I'd like to trap.
Yes, exactly. All right, we're seeing both our GTP and LMP2 racers starting to grid up and get formed up as the pace car brings them down the pit lane. You'll see those gaps there as the GT3 racers also now getting into formation again. This is going to be a 90-minute race, and Larry, for as we get ready and come into Sunset Turn, I think the strategy with pit stops is going to be brutally important tonight, because both in GTP and GT3, there's a chance that some racers may be able to make it on just one pit stop as the green flag is in the air. And we are racing here at Sebring in the World Challenge round number 6, jumping out to an early lead from the outside of or I guess that's the inside of the front row. Tanner Dibble comes across. Jordan Butler is going to slot in the second. And then, going wide, we have a number of cars going off. We got Ben Rose goes around, Bobby Childs goes around. We've got Gators who are going very wide, and just then
has to take evasive action.
I was just going to say, Larry, as our LMP2 racers come right into the middle of that GTP field, Ben Rose is off the track as our GT3 racers now are going to get the green flag, and they're going to head down the front straight here. We're going to have to take a look. We've got the two Orion racers. We've got Mike Dam and Leo Dragota. Dam to the inside in the Corvette, Dragota to the outside in the McLaren, and Dragota tries to sweep around Mike Dam. Can he hold it as they're going to come into that little kink over turn 2? And as they come into turn 3 for the first time, Leo Dragota, he's got the point. He is your leader, with Bailey Petrowski slotting the third. Taj Edwards from Orion Racing in the number 42 Corvette. He slots in the fourth. Travis Schwenke, Robert Hartley running 5th and 6th. So with the exception of Bailey Petrowski from D2D, they're sitting in 3rd position. Our top 6 racers, all from Orion, as they go into the hairpin.
Yeah, let's check out some of these replays of what we just saw. Let's start with all the Gators here and where the end begins. That's Jordan Butler we're going to keep an eye on. There he is, Butler coming through 1. Is it a self-induced slide? There may have been some help.
Well, yeah, Pfeiffer might have gotten him, Larry.
Yeah, I think so.
And as they go around, a couple nice handbags that are being made of the Gators.
Let's take a look as we also look at Bobby Childs, who may have gotten caught up in some of this stuff here. He tries to run wide to stay out of it and just can't.
Oh, yeah.
As he collects the back of was that Ricmotech?
I think that was Ryan Ricmotech who came around backwards, yeah.
Yeah, or Ben Rose. Not sure which one that was. Oh,
all right, well,
that was chaotic.
It was. So we're gonna take a look here, Larry, and I guess one of the Gators who has not slowed down for the winner, Tanner Dibble, who is your leader, and he's already opened up 3.5 seconds over Jake Zito. Of course, you know, big changes there at the front with the so many of the DNA Motorsports racers getting caught up in that incident. Tanner Dibble, the only one to escape unscathed.
That was absolutely huge for point standings because you look at, we haven't talked about that much yet. Tanner Dibble came into tonight at an exact tie with teammate Ben Rose. Ben in the pits now after that turn 1 contact. The other one in that fight is the Phantom Power Racing of Dalton Fredericks, and he's nowhere to be found as well in that top group. So this is just huge right now for points in GTP.
Wow, and it looks like Jordan Butler also having some issues. Larry Butler now taking to the pits as well. All right, we're getting word that the 161 car has just been awarded a drive-through penalty, Larry.
Here's Dalton
That's
Fredericks.
Brian Bennett.
Yeah. Just looking at the replay, here's Fredericks self-induced rear brake lockup going in. I want to say it was down around turn 10, and he's the other one who's in the hunt for the championship in this. And now he spins. He's only 12 points back, but he spins here in the opening lap. It's just chaotic.
All right, let's see what happened to bring up that penalty for Brian Butler.
Oh, that would induce a penalty.
Yeah, that would definitely do it as the Sector 5 Porsche gets the double whammy there.
Yeah, let's get down the inside of one of those Orion Corvettes and spins them around, and that's how it goes.
All right, so we're on board right now with Bailey Petrowski in the D2D McLaren, who is still sitting pretty right now in 3rd position. We talked about the top 6 drivers, or 5 of the top 6 all being from Orion, and it looks like we can now change that so it's the 4 of the top 5, as we have now had one of our Orion racers, Robert Hartley, now fall all the way to the back of the pack.
Yeah, I think he was the one that was touched by Bennett there on that turn.
Yeah, with the Porsche.
I think, so he's going to be coming back from if the car doesn't have any damage. But let's check in with the LMP2 crowd as we've got Josh Chinsky, who beautiful evasive maneuver to avoid the spinning GTP cars into turn 1 to hang on to this lead so far. But his teammates chasing him. That's Caleb Lehman. Yeah,
Lehman and of course Chinsky looking to run the table. He's got 5 wins in 5 rounds so far this season. And obviously, starting off on the pole here tonight was a good sign, and it could have all turned for naught on lap 1. Did a great job avoiding. Yeah, so let's jump on board with Josh Chinsky as he comes up onto the melee between all of the LMP or all the GTP racers directly ahead.
With the one spinning, and he goes all the way to the grass left to avoid it. But I can't believe he saved that and got it back on track like nothing.
The fact that he was able to yank the car back to the right and get it back onto the surface before getting to the turn-in point for turn 3, just stunning.
Yeah, great work for Chinsky to keep it together. But now he's under pressure from his teammate Caleb Lehman, who I think was 3rd a couple of weeks ago in our last round. So he certainly got the pace to challenge Caleb. Or to challenge Josh.
Josh Chinsky, yeah. So Lehman finished 3rd behind Dave Meneno at where were we? We were at not Sebring. We were at Silverstone 2 weeks ago. How quickly I forget. as we jump on board with the largest machine in GT3, Zach Mosley in the number 237 Ford Mustang. Looks like he and Alex Brown turning Lyndon Swaby into a little bit of the meat in a Mustang sandwich there. Big secondary pack here, Larry. As we've got Jennifer McDonald, who I mentioned in her BMW, was the fastest driver in practice in GT3 during the week. Jeff Brooks, Ilya Speaker there as well. Speaker a little bit further back, but
Alex Brown kind of leading this train right here. I'm starting to think Swaby maybe getting a little bit anxious with that Mustang of Zach Mosley behind him. Swaby maybe able to make speed in different places, which could help him if he could do it in the right spots and maybe make a pass possibly going into the hairpin when they get down there in another 20 seconds or so. See what kind of run he gets here off of turn 4 and 5.
Let's see if he makes a move to the inside as they come through the bend, as they're going to come underneath that Mobile One bridge, and perhaps one of the hardest braking corners here at the track. This is the newly, I don't want to call it newly profiled hairpin, but because it's been what now, about 20 years.
Well, Swaby not able to make the move down towards 7 past Big Bend. He's going to have to find another place to do it, and that's where it gets difficult. Mosley, though, he ducks to the inside. Wow, aggressive.
Yeah, big late move there over Cunningham.
Didn't make it stick, though. So the power can get planted down in that McLaren there for Swaby, so able to defend pretty well. That's just going to allow... it's going to allow Stein, or sorry, not Stein. Brown to pull away a little bit.
Brown, yeah, pardon. And there's Travis Schwenke, Larry, a little bit off the pace right there as we see Ilya Speaker get by. Schwenke now sitting 11th in GT3. Let's see what happened. As they're coming into Le Mans bend there. Yeah, just lost the rear end. Coming through Jean de Bien going into Le Mans.
Tells me that Corvette is a bit of a handful on a compromised setup around a track like this. Perhaps this is where the stability of the McLaren may be helping near the front of the field there, of course, with Bailey Petrowski and Leo Dragot.
And look at the drift that Jennifer McDonald puts on through one.
Well, that's going to be an opportunity for Schwenke to take that spot back.
There you go. Schwenke does, and we'll see about Mariano Barrios, who's in the McLaren directly behind Jennifer McDonald. And it looks like McDonald is able to, for the time being, limit the damage. And we'll see what happens here as Barrios now is going to poke to the inside as they come down into turn 7 into the hairpin.
The NW has got pretty strong legs, but good move there for Barrios. I think he's going to get the spot. I was surprised to see Barrios down the order at the start of this thing, so this may be a bit of a recovery for him now, of course, as the GTPs start to filter their way through the GT3 field, as do the LMP2s. Kyle Stryker's there with Charlie Osea right behind.
All right, Larry, look at this as they're coming out of the tower turn and heading into the grass.
Man.
Adam Johnson gathers the thing back up.
Dalton Fredericks is looking for opportunities as well, and I don't know if he's going to find one here through the S's, but he's got to run on the back straight.
Yeah, as they come onto the Ullman straight, he definitely has a big run here as they're, 4 wide, heading down towards Sunset.
He's got to move. He's got some cars in front, though. GT3 field. Good move for Frederick, and an opportunity presents itself. Oh, wow, almost.
And Larry, I mean, you look at what Adam Johnson did there. I think he was thinking obviously that he'd go around the outside of the GT3 fight there. Yeah. But that hole that and once again caught up behind these GT3 racers as he's continuing to lose ground to Dalton Fredericks. That you know, it's early
he's in this
on.
battle.
Yeah,
that we were just watching a moment ago with Swaby and the others, Jennifer McDonald and Mosley in there.
Mosley and Brown, yeah.
It's a tough little fight to try and take your own fight through. As they
I'm wondering if John at some point could bring us back to that entrance that they made going into 17. I'd love to be able to see it from Adam Johnson's point of view, as the opening that was there just completely closed, and he thought he was going to go around the outside, and it wasn't there, and Fredericks was just able to take advantage and shoot down to the inside.
Yeah, there had to be so much of a panic moment there, as he had nowhere to go, and Johnson just having to lay on the binders. Let's see if that's the case. As they
so let's watch this sequence, Larry, as we're going to see him in a moment here come into 13, into the tower turn.
Look at all that traffic in front of them, though. Look, he goes to the grass to take it around him. And it does, for the moment, give him the position in front of Fredericks. But this is still leading before we even get to the end, to Sunset. Fredericks definitely looked like he had some contacts with one of the GT3 cars, but here you go. You can see here as Johnson, like you said, trying to take that outside line perhaps to Sunset, and suddenly realizing you can't do that.
And so here's the hole that he thinks he's going to take. The hole disappears for him.
I want to see who that was, if that was one of the Rockefeller Racing entries that he was up behind, and that luckily didn't turn into a bigger issue. But as we get back to it, here's again this little battle as Lehman looks like he got around.
He's gotten around,
Chinsky.
Josh Chinsky now sitting in second place in LMP2 as they are running up behind one of the Eagle Beaver Mustangs.
Well, Chinsky content to let Caleb lead here through a couple of corners. Long race tonight. Again, 90 minutes here tonight, so really no rush to get back into that position.
All right, let's take a look and see how it happened here as they come into the Sunset Bend, Larry.
See a Jeff Jacobs that's right in front of them. May have played a part. Yes, he did. Chinsky had nowhere to go. He ran up around the outside and suddenly found himself right up behind Jacobs, and Lehman said, "I'll take the inside, thank you very much."
Thank you very much.
Again, these guys are teammates, I believe. So they know each other well, for sure.
Yeah, indeed, both running for SRT Esport. All right, let's and just ahead of him, Larry. This is the top three in GT3. Leo Dragotta opening up a nice advantage over teammate Mike Dam, about 6 car lengths, with Bailey Petrowski in the D2D McLaren there. We're looking right behind as Dam gets so loose as Lehman tries to go around the outside, and I think as Dam tried to hold that car to the inside, Larry, the rear end of that Corvette, you said it just doesn't seem very compliant around the
I'm not sure he expected Lehman to go out there either. I think he was expecting to have room to run wide all the way to the wall at the last second. He had to check in, and luckily was able to. But the McLaren of Petrowski looking very stable and very patient right now.
Yeah. And all the while and through that, Larry, they've both made up ground. They've both made up about 2 car lengths on Leo Dragotta.
So Pfeiffer makes his way through. Actually, he's positioned because of the spin in the first corner. Pfeiffer still has to get around Lehman and Chinsky, the LMP2 drivers. So we'll see if that happen sometime the next lap or so. Dragotta looking very smooth as well. I do think that McLaren tonight just looks stable. You don't see a lot of drama.
Indeed, the Corvette has looked a lot more skittish, and I think that's we saw that with
in the BMW as well.
Yes, And we saw that certainly with Jennifer McDonald. We saw the Corvette with Travis Schwenke early on.
Yeah, the whole Orion team seems to have an issue keeping that back end planted, certainly around the bumps at 17. As we go and take a look here how Schwenke's doing, trying to hold off Barrios, but Barrios in one of those McLarens, which again looks very stable tonight.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note, Larry, how early on in the season, Leo Dragota just did not seem to gel with the Corvette, and he's the only Orion driver at this point not in that chassis, and and again, it's fared awfully well for him so far this season. I mean, when he hasn't been, when he wasn't in the Corvette, that is. And Leo currently, let's take a look at where he is in the championship.
Well, this is on board with Lucas, little brother, right up behind Stacy Bertrand and one of the Mustangs. And we've seen that Mustang pulling on the straights over other McLarens. So the McLaren seems to be able to get out of the corners, but just doesn't quite have the tall legs of the Mustang.
All right, let's jump back over and check in with Chinsky and Levin.
And that third car in the train is not an LMP2 car.
That's
in fact,
Jim Pfeiffer, right?
It is, yeah, in one of the Porsche GTP cars. Kind of has that low profile front end like an LMP2, but it's got a few extra horsepower behind it and a little more downforce. He's just respecting the battle in front of him and waiting until he gets a good straightaway, probably this one, before he makes his way by.
And I guess we saw that the iRacing announced that we'll have at least one more GTP chassis for their next season. With was it the Ferrari? Is it the 499 that is going to be joining as well? So that brings us up to what, 6 different chassis now?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure we'll see that in the next season of the World Challenge, because the iRacing season concludes in a couple weeks, right around the same time as this season of World Challenge does. So maybe there'll be an opportunity to bring that Ferrari in for the next season. And I know one driver that runs GTPs would probably love to be in a Ferrari as opposed to the BMW that he's been in lately, and that's around Bobby Childs.
Bobby Childs
Loves his Ferraris. This is a good little battle here. Ilya Speaker, Travis Schwenke, Mariano Barrios, 3 different teams represented here. A Corvette in the middle of a couple of McLarens, but really, these are all very fast drivers here, trying to keep up with and close the gap to Lyndon Swaby and another McLaren up in front of them.
Now, I'd be interested to see here, Larry, as they come down into the hairpin, what Schwenke can do on the brakes. And I was taking interest in it, if only because earlier on I had seen where Mike Dam was able to make up a lot of ground on teammate Leo Dragota going down in the hairpin. And I was trying to determine if that was just a question of Dragota being cautious early on, or if it was maybe one advantage that the Corvette seemed to have over the other chassis, and it didn't seem to be any real difference there this time around. But look at that again, even going into 13, how much more speed through the apex Barrios in the McLaren was able to carry over the Corvette, and then coming right in here into the S's, same thing.
Yeah.
The Corvette just does not look happy at all.
Well, I do want to note, it looks like Adam Johnson, who was having a lot of fun there in the GTPs, has had a connection issue.
Oh, no.
And he actually dropped the session, has rejoined, so he's going to be probably 2 laps, maybe even a 3rd lap down by the time he gets back on track. And that's unfortunate because he was having some pretty exciting moments there we had to watch.
Yeah, looks like he may have... Oh, maybe he hasn't. It looks like he's back in the session layer, but I'm still not showing him as
I
advancing.
think he's rejoining, but hasn't quite made it to the pits.
Yeah.
As we'll check in instead with this little battle again, the lead in GT3 with our LMP2 cars trying to get through it. I think it's Kyle Strikers trying to find his way past them.
Yeah, that was the 07 Strikers currently running 5th in LMP2.
Yeah,
and Larry, it's looking like for all of the instability that we're seeing from that Corvette chassis, Mike Dam has been making up some ground on his teammate Leo Dragota, and they may have dropped Bailey Petrowski.
Just an extra couple car lengths, and I don't know if he'll be able to do that for very long. Bailey may just be taking the patient route back there and just biding his time, maybe saving some fuel. This may come down to a pit stop thing. As our pre-race guest, of course, John Casey, had mentioned that perhaps you could do this entire race in a one-stopper. These are the 3 drivers I would expect to try it. It would be all 3 of them.
Indeed. So, we think that the GT3 race, Larry, is going to go somewhere around 45 laps tonight, based on the times that we saw during the week. And the cars can make anywhere between 21 and 23 laps.
Sounds pretty close to halfway.
Yeah, 23 is really stretching the fuel savings.
Yeah.
Normal end of that pit cycle would be around lap 21. So chance that we might see some racers be able to do it. And we're seeing a very similar situation that might possibly play out in GTP as well.
Well, in LMP2, this battle continues here as Lehman continues to lead over Chinsky, and Chinsky doesn't look like he's being aggressive, doesn't look like he really wants to do much to try and pass him, and may also be trying to stretch fuel as long as he can. I just don't know if they can quite make an hour and a half on one stop. My experience, these cars tend to go about 35 minutes on fuel.
Well, and that's the thing. We're looking at probably around 21, 22 laps, Larry. The problem is that we anticipate the LMP2 race hitting about 50 laps, so they'd have to do a lot of fuel savings, but most likely every driver's going to have to take a second stop for a splash at the end.
Yeah, in the 12-hour at Sebring, as we've got Jeff Brooks taking himself out, and I think that may have actually ended his night, as he did disconnect from the session after this incident. And that's going to do it for him and his Mustang. But yeah, just going back to the LMP2s, this is my car of choice, running the 12-hour each winter. Pretty familiar with the fuel loads and what it can take around here, and 90 minutes would be nearly impossible to do on just 2 fuel loads. But it's a great car around this track. I love the feel of this thing. You can really kind of throw it around at times. You can get a really good rhythm with this car. It responds well to this place, as if it was built for endurance racing on a track like this. Kind of is.
Kind of is. Kind of was.
Kind of was. Yeah, it's a great platform. So watching these guys, it's really one of those nights where I have the itch. I don't every Monday night have that itch. Tonight I do. This might be giving me the itch, and this is Travis Schwenke and Ilya Speaker. Look at Schwenke able to make the pass. See how long he can hold it.
As he had been sandwiched between the 2 McLarens for a number of laps there. So Schwenke, who had been running in the top 5, now works his way back up into 8th position. And you can see there, not Swaby, Mosley, and Brown not that far up ahead.
No, just about 3 seconds up the road or so. So that might be a chance now to catch up to that train before we get to fuel stops. I think that's probably the target that Travis Schwenke would like to do. Of course, Travis right now still has to fend off Speaker and Barrios behind him, and that looks like there's contact. Speaking of Barrios and Speaker, I think I just saw them side by side on the front straight. And yes,
indeed. And Larry, there's the front bumper cap from Mariano Barrios' car sitting in the middle of the front straight.
They definitely got tangled there coming off a sunset on this lap. That's going to take them out of this. And I'll tell you, for Travis Schwenke, he might have made that pass just in time.
All right,
and they got caught.
Yeah, it looks like they came up on Jake Zito there over. Let's see if we can take another look. As Zito is trying to go around the outside. He's trying to go around the outside of.
Got pinched.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Here he is, and that's.
Oh yeah.
That Speaker, and then Barrios just had nowhere to go. He actually was innocent in that thing completely.
Yeah. You know, Larry, as we look at the move that Speaker made back over to the left to I think clear the other prototype car coming through. If he hadn't made that last moment little jut to the left, I think they might have all been able to make it through there.
Perhaps, but I also say Zito probably was being optimistic and going for what's a narrowing wall. That wall juts out further and then comes back in and
comes back in very quickly.
And I think that may have been a bit aggressive opportunity that really wasn't there for him, and unfortunate that they ended
All right, let's take a look, Larry. I think we've got the onboard from Jake Zito. We'll see what he saw coming through.
Yeah, he's trying to stick it out there, and it's a rapidly decreasing window. So it's unfortunate. Meanwhile, Lehman and Chinsky continue.
This is a nice little battle here.
Yeah. I wonder how much fuel saving Caleb Lehman's going to be able to do, considering that Josh Chinsky behind him has got to be able to do a ton. Just using some draft down the long straightaways and then just lift and coast into the braking zones. Let's see how this fuel exchange goes in another 10 to 15 minutes or so. Who is that running wide? One of the Porsches. So Petrowski trying to make sure he doesn't get lost in the shuffle here if Leo starts to pull ahead of Mike Dam. So now Bailey seems to be looking a little more driving with urgency here to not lose pace with the leader. From a point standpoint, we haven't talked much about this class other than Petrowski came into tonight with the lead. Behind Bailey in the overall of GT3, it's Brian Bennett, Ilya Speaker. Well, we've just saw Ilya Speaker's night likely end. Brian Bennett's had some issues already with the penalty issued after the first lap. Travis Schwenke's in fourth in points. He's on a recovery drive. Then you get to Jeff Brooks, who just crashed out. Yeah, you get all the way down the order.
Chase West, who I don't think is here this evening.
Mike Dams had a couple of really rough rounds and hasn't showed up, so he's probably not in championship contention. And then we know that Leo Dragotta as well has had a couple of rough rounds as well. So, I'll tell you, Bailey Petrowski just has to stay with these folks to be able to score some points. Meanwhile, in GTP, Dalton Fredericks making his pit stop.
And I think we can assume that Dalton Fredericks is not going to be trying to turn this into a one-stopper, as he's our first GTP racer to come in. And Travis Schwenke now on the pit lane as well.
Interesting. So not even going to make an attempt to do a one-stopper.
No, he's coming in on lap 14. And again, we thought that the window could extend as far as 21 to possibly 23 laps if you really pushed it.
As they go 3 wide on the front straight, as Ben Rose goes around the other two right there, which I believe are David.
Joe Nagy in the Rockefeller Ferrari, and then David Klimovich in his Porsche 911.
We have not seen Klimovich on track until now. The Klim Club, of course, full on in the chat tonight. Club even extending their well wishes.
Larry, should note that Avon Dorsey from Rockefeller Racing is cheering on his fender mate from Rockefeller, Charlie Hosea. All right, coming in now, Larry, from the lead in GTP, Tanner Dibble in his Porsche, taking service. So another racer who has decided not to try and stretch things out and try to turn this into a one-stopper. Ryan Reisman now assumes the lead in GTP in the number 414 Cadillac.
So yeah, not trying the single stopper, going to go ahead and do it with two. As this battle.
Yeah, look at this here over in LMP2 as Josh Chinsky tries for the moment to go around the outside of Caleb Lehman there at the Sunset Bend. Cannot get it done. He's going to slide it back behind as both of them come up on one of the Orion Corvettes.
I think that's Taj. I think it is.
Yeah, I think that's the 40. Yeah, I think that's the 42 machine.
Taj Edwards.
Taj Edwards, yeah.
Yeah, currently 4th in GT3, which means that not too far up the road, probably later in this lap or early the next, they'll catch the front trio of Dragota, Dam, and Petrowski.
Matter of fact, we've just seen them go through the hairpin, so they may get to them, Larry, along the Flying Fortress Straight. As John's giving us the deltas each lap, and you can see here, not much of a delta. 49 1000s, 4 1000s.
Yeah, pretty much staying like this, and I really do think that Josh Chinsky is just taking the toe from Caleb around this place and using it to his fuel-saving advantage. That's my estimate, considering that they both have great speed, but Josh has just had some bit of an edge every race this season, and this might be his edge tonight, is using it for fuel savings. And there are your leaders in GT3, Petrowski, Dam, and Dragota. There's Leo.
And Leo now has opened up a nice little gap.
He has, and I wonder if this is just perhaps Mike Dan even tried to do a little fuel savings. It's just faded back a little bit.
What I'm thinking.
Yeah.
All right, so Larry, we are now a little bit over halfway into this 90-minute race, a little bit more than a third of the way through, and we're at the top of the hour. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We're going to thank some of our partners and sponsors, and when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag here at Sebring, where you're watching round number 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Sebring International Raceway, round number 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And, you know, Larry, I don't want to jinx it here because we haven't, other than our opening 2 laps or so, we haven't had much need for them, and we haven't heard them much over the radio. But tonight's race stewards are provided by the SCCA Foundation, and the SCCA Foundation provides funding for the SCCA Academy, training the next generation of race workers and volunteers that make real-life road racing events possible. Visit sccafoundation.org for more information. sccafoundation.org for more information. As we jump back here and been watching Canadian Lyndon Swaby out of Ontario there with Alex Brown. And
Canadian.
Yeah, I think probably the big change here, Larry, is that that blue and red Mustang of Zach Mosley has managed to work his way fairly clear of this group here.
Just a little bit, and we'll see how long that stays that way. You can see Zach right there, just 8 or 10 car lengths in front of Swaby and Brown. Mosley trying to.
All right, Caleb Lehman, who, while we were away, came down the pit lane for service. Again, we did mention that all the LMP2 cars are likely going to have to come in for 2 pit stops tonight to make it on fuel. So Lehman rejoins now in 4th position. Chinsky, who decided to stay out, the other SRT Esport racer, he is currently your leader, and he's got a pretty good-sized advantage now, 35 seconds. Over Charlie Hosea from Rockefeller, and I think that really goes to show, Larry, just how dominant both Lehman and Chinsky have been so far this evening.
Let's keep an eye on Chinsky, how much longer he stays out there, because Lehman's been the only one really so far to come in for a full pit stop. So we'll keep our eyes on the rest of them, Hosea and Vidal and the others, to see if they come in, or Kyle Strikers, the other SRT Esport teammate. Let's keep an eye on when he comes in. I would not be surprised if Chinsky tries to push this all the way out to that 45-minute mark and make this a one-stopper, but you never know. That looks like Ben Rose coming up behind him.
Yeah, Rose, who was currently, I think, 7 laps down after taking service and taking on repairs after that huge lap 1, turn 1 incident.
Yeah, Ben was in the pits for like 16 minutes or so taking those repairs, so he's definitely down a bunch, but he's out here turning laps, helping his teammates out, I'm sure.
All right, Klim Club, stand up. There's David Klimovich sitting right back behind David Steiner's McLaren. All right, and a couple more of our LMP2 racers, Larry, coming down the pit lane. Charlie Hosea, Josh Vidal coming in to take service. In GT3, we talked about Zach Mosley having opened up a nice advantage over Swaby, and he comes in for service. And now Ryan Reisman, our GTP leader in his Cadillac, comes down the pit lane to take service.
Yep, another one of those DNA teammates running those Gators. So Ryan's going to have his command. It should yield the lead back to Dibble. Which
And there
just
you go,
happened.
Dibble. Yep, Dibble just came down the front straight. He's going to take over the lead in the 963 car.
And right behind him's another one of those Porsche 963s. Of course, that's the 00 of Jim Pfeiffer right behind him. Pfeiffer did, I think, already stop once tonight.
Yeah, indeed. He came in once for a very long pit stop, and he's a full lap down.
Now, the LMP2 fight. There you go.
Oh, and
Vidal and Chinsky, they're dueling it out down towards 7. Chinsky
right,
on the
Chinsky,
inside.
moves over
or
to
Strikers,
the inside.
I should say. That's Strikers.
That's Kyle Strikers. You're right. Strikers and Vidal.
Yep. And then one of the Gator DNA entries. Oh, that's a
Oh,
slide.
my.
Is that Reisman right there trying to get through them?
I was going to say, I think that is...
It looks like the Cadillac. No, that's Ben Rose.
That's Ben Rose. That's the Porsche.
The Acura.
And Larry, Tanner Dibble, who had been running up towards the front of the field, looks like he just had an issue coming through.
Oh, he was trying to stay out of the way.
Oh.
And he gets hit by Pfeiffer on the rebound, and that's some suspension damage on the back of him. He was trying to stay out of everyone's way by staying track right, gets into the grass, and that is going to shake things up if he's got the damage that I think he does. Look at that. Catches that grass and spins. He would have been okay, except Pfeiffer had nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. All right, and Dibble now takes the toe and heads to the pit lane.
Wow, he'd been dominant in this race so far.
Huge development in GTP, and certainly going to make things a lot easier on teammate Ryan Reisman.
Well, you know what tonight, and right now is a good time to show the point standings or talk about the point standings. Because coming into tonight, it was Ben Rose, Tanner Dibble, and Dalton Frederick, your top three. And, well, there's definitely been some shaking in there.
There has been, and as it came into the evening, Larry, with a tie for first place between Ben Rose and Tanner Dibble, both at 257 points. The two DNA Motorsports racers, your leaders in the field, Dalton Fredericks from Phantom Power Racing, only 12 points back from there. And Adam Johnson, who again had his issue tonight. Adam Johnson came in fourth in the series as our leader in GT3. Leo Dragota comes down the pit lane. He's going to surrender the lead now to
Mike Dam.
I guess to Mike Dam, with Bailey Petrowski running in second. Lyndon Swaby now, and coming down the pit lane with Alex Brown running fifth and sixth. Lucas Dragota, Chris Thorman, and the Caesar parting, Larry, as Keith Stein is now coming as well.
All of these have the possibility of making it the full 90. We're going to hit the 44-minute mark while they're in the pits. And considering that we had a full lap of pace lap before we went green, I think there's a chance these cars could make it the full 90 at this point. Anybody that stays out one more lap, which would include Bailey Petrowski, Mike Dam, and there they are, has a strong possibility to make it all the way to the end. And Taj Edwards, is he also still out there?
Taj Edwards is still on the lead lap as well. He's about, about 13 seconds back now from Dam and Petrowski, but he's still out there, has not pitted either, nor have Jeff Jacobs or David Klimovich.
Look at this train coming out of the pits, though. That's Thorman, Lucas Dragota, Keith Stein, all.
And Lucas trying to get as much heat in the tires as he could.
Yeah.
And I would assume, Larry, that given the amount of time to put a full tank of fuel in these cars, that most likely all these GT3 drivers are able to get a full set of four tires underneath the car as well during the fuel fill. And so likely why you saw Lucas Dragota trying to get any kind of heat that he could while still on the pit lane. And there you go, Mike Dam and Bailey Petrowski now head to the pit lane from the lead.
Exactly at the halfway mark through 90 minutes, so they much more confident ability to make it to the end without having to do a whole lot more fuel saving. So this could be a fun battle between them. I'm curious, though, how close they'll come out to Leo Dragota, who's done this a lap earlier. Ilya Speaker making his way back out after, I'm assuming, some repairs.
And Taj Edwards,
wow,
Larry, still on track in the number 42 Orion Corvette. He's going to try to stretch this to 23 laps complete.
Yeah.
And if he can do this, I don't know what the timing will be, for a fuel dump there, but
I wonder if he
certainly puts him in good stead.
I just wonder if he didn't need to do that, but Look at this. Bailey's going to try to make the pass in the pits. They're going to come out of the pits side by side. Bailey on the inside, Dam on the outside, and there's Leo Dragota right at the apex of one with 1 lap of heat in his tires. He's going to take the advantage, is Leo, with Dalton Fredericks trying to make his way through this battle. And here you go. The beneficiary and all that looks like it was Bailey Petrowski making the leap past Mike Dam. That was a close exit there, side by side around pit lane exit, all the way through turn 1.
Yeah, and Larry, as we're taking a look at the at the pit stop times here, the difference obviously was on the pit lane as Mike Dam came in ahead of Bailey Petrowski, but Petrowski was almost 0.3 of a second faster than Mike Dam.
Just enough. I hope he took on enough fuel to make it to the end. He pretty much top it all the way is how it should go. He's got a good chase down Leo, who at least had 1 lap of heat in his tires. So.
And the question will be, Larry, does Taj Edwards come in?
And there he is.
Edwards comes in, and following him down the pit lane is that's Greg Brockway. In his Freedom Sport Corvette a little bit further back.
Everybody except for, or maybe Josh Chinsky did actually pit.
And it looks like Ilya Speaker now coming down the pit lane as well. So not sure, since we saw Speaker from that earlier incident on the pit lane headed back out, and
yeah,
maybe didn't get all the repairs done that he really needed. As Leo Dragota comes out of the Sunset Bend, he and Bailey Petrowski are now they're gonna take over the lead from Taj Edwards, or Leo does. So Petrowski will be second, Dan will be third, and Brian Bennett is just now coming in. Yeah. So Bennett, I think, was the very last GT3 car to pit.
I believe so.
And here's something interesting, Larry.
Yeah.
As Taj Edwards now rejoins the field, he rejoins in 6th behind Travis Schwenke and Robert Hartley.
That is a bit surprising because Edwards had been in front of them by a number of seconds when this all pit stop started. I just wonder if Hartley and Schwenke are going to have enough fuel to make it to the end.
Yeah. Yeah, and matter of fact, as we're looking at what their pit times are, Larry, Hartley was in his box for less than 12 seconds, Schwenke for 22, and the top 3 drivers all in the 32-second range. So I wouldn't expect to see Schwenke and Hartley to maintain these positions. Remember that Schwenke had fallen down, I think was running in 9th position for quite some time before the pits, and Robert Hartley was back a little bit further back from there.
They'll say this battle's continuing, but I think I just saw Caleb Lehman outbreak himself a little bit going into 10. Maybe it was 10. Was that?
Yeah, that was going into 10, and here they are coming into 13 onto the Flying Fortress Straight. So Caleb Lehman now dropping back almost 2 seconds off the rear of Josh Chinsky. Again, Chinsky looking for win number 6 of 6 here this season. And let's take a look, Larry, at those point standings in LMP2, where Josh Chinsky came into the evening with a 31-point advantage, 270 points to 239 over Dave Meneno, his SRT Esport teammate. Again, Meneno not here racing this evening. Caleb Lehman, third in the championship, only 5 points back from there. And then we have Phantom Powers, Josh Vidal, fourth in the championship, with Avon Dorsey, fifth.
I just looked at the background and saw Alex Brown having a bit of a slide all the way into pit in as we were watching Josh Chinsky come down the front straight. There he is. Big slide there. He ended up down around pit in. He may have even touched a wall, or maybe that was damage he already had incurred before, but that's Alex in that Mustang. Let's go to the replay here as he comes around Sunset Bend. And
the Eagle didn't fly, and the Beaver tried going through the wall. All right, let's take, oh, wow, as the rear end just goes around, and looks like he kept it off the Armco.
There might have been just a touch there that caused what I think was a little bit of damage on the
Well,
front.
definitely got it that time, though. You know, Larry, what would be great is, and you know, if iRacing actually took into account, you know, when you're doing 75 miles an hour and you lock up the tires and you just completely flat spot the heck out of them.
There may be talks at iRacing about trying to model a flat spot. I'm not sure how far away that is. Can't be too far away with the amount of development they've done just in the couple of years that I've been on the platform. It's pretty impressive simulation that they've got in flat spots. Just one more thing they need to add.
And look at that, Larry, still off the considerably off the pace.
Is that speaker?
That is the 86 machine, and yeah, that's Celia's speaker.
Yeah, he may be trying to get away with partial repairs, and they're just not working.
Not nearly enough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because we know he's got pace when he's on, and tonight just a couple of rough bumps and takes him out.
And as we expected, Larry, Robert Hartley pits in from fifth position to take fuel, and this is going to probably be a pretty long stop for him.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate way to run your race, to have to come in twice because the pit lane is not the shortest, but let's see if he can get that back out there and try and chase down maybe a top 15 because he's going to fall out of the top 10 as it stands. It's a pretty competitive top 10 here in GT3. And
Jordan Butler in the 72 GTP Acura, he comes down the pit lane as well, Larry.
Yeah, well, speaking of top 10, Stacey Bertrand right now holding on to that 10th spot. Trying to take the 9th away from Lucas Tragoda in that McLaren. They're about 3 seconds or so down from Chris Thorman. As one of the DNA Gators goes crawling past. That noise. Ford engine does sound pretty good.
It does.
I will say, sounds better than its bow tie counterpart.
So, Larry, once again here this season in the World Challenge, we would like to thank our great partner Buttkicker that each driver's championship point earned during the season by each one of our drivers will count as an entry into a drawing after the finale in Daytona, where the winner will be presented a Buttkicker Gamer Plus package valued at $279.95. And you can find out more about Buttkicker and their offerings at thebuttkicker.com. As we get to peer into the focus of Ryan Ricmotech, Larry, your leader here in GTP, as he works his way through traffic coming onto the Ulm Straight.
That windshield wiper just dead center of the windshield there, just a little like a halo stalk just sticking up as if we're an open wheel Formula car, but no, that's just his wiper. Aerodynamic position the wiper can be parked in. So yeah, interesting here to see is if Dalton Fredericks can make any push. He has taken a couple tenths out of Ricmotech's lead lately. And you can see Dalton Fredericks, who again came in tonight in third in the points.
Yeah, John, can we throw up the can we throw up the Delta screen between Ricmotech and Fredericks, possibly? John says, of course we can.
That's a nice graphic.
But you can see there how
he's just showing
how
up all the
Fredericks has been
graphics
knocking down that gap. Hadn't seen that
There's
one
the
before.
one. There it is.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at the story that tells you. That is Fredericks gaining quickly on Ricmotech the last 4 laps.
9/10s, 8500s.
Yep. Down to 2
Over a
seconds
second.
now.
Yeah.
No. Pit times. Ricmotech's likely going to have to stop again, isn't he?
I think he is.
Fredericks, I'm not so sure. So you can see them in the same shot there. That black and orange, Dalton Fredericks just lurking back there. Looks like Charlie Jose and Kyle Strikers there in the 60 and the 100 and the 07 LMP2s. They'll hit the front straight right behind Stacy Bertrand. And then Dalton Fredericks right behind them. This could be a 4 wide here on the front straight. This could get messy.
It's going to get hectic, Larry. As Fredericks moves all the way over to the wall, and it comes across the nose of the 97.
And Lucas Dragona had to back out.
He came right across the nose of Kyle Strikers there at the last moment. Oh my gosh. As we see Strikers and Vidal in their own little fight there in LMP2 battle for fourth.
Strikers is trying to chase down Hosea in that Rockefeller Racing LMP2. They're going to be following. Is that Thorman in the 60?
That is the D2D Mustang of Chris Thorman.
Chase West that they're going around there in that Corvette. Haven't talked about him too much tonight. West actually came into tonight in a decent position in the points, as this season's been a bit ups and downs for a lot of drivers. Chase West has been pretty consistent. He came in the top 6 and scored a couple of top 5 finishes, but also a couple of rough finishes as well that probably used to improve on his points.
Yeah, he's had 1 top 5.
Yeah,
and I think that's the best he could manage here this season. But yeah, it was interesting. I made that comment earlier about Leo Dragota, in much better stead when he moved over to the McLaren from the Corvette, but that doesn't get around the fact that he's currently sitting 18th in the championship. Of course, I think he missed a round due to a karting injury, and so at least one more race down from a lot of the other racers. But the GT3 field, which again we're looking at a combined GT3 Pro and AM field right now, really some big surprises here. Zach Mosley, for example, came into the championship in 9th position, only 6 points back from Keith Stein. So it's been a good run for him so far. And as we mentioned, Ilya Speaker, Larry, who just has had nothing but problems and issues tonight getting that car back to a drivable point after his earlier incident there on the front straight, came into the evening in 3rd place in the championship, and we're probably going to see some big changes there for him after tonight's.
Well, you talked about Leo Dragota and a couple of drops and some other issues he's had. Mike Dam, of course, won the opening round of this thing and then had a couple of rough finishes and the DNS for the Road Atlanta race a couple of weeks back. So he didn't run. So you got a lot of folks that don't have all the races in or didn't have really consistent finishes, which just tells you how hard this has been and how impressive it's been for Bailey Petrowski, who hasn't won every round. He's got a couple of wins, yes, but he's been surviving even when he doesn't win. He had 3rd place in the opening round, and he's been hanging around these things, and here he is, not leading, but doing what he needs to do to win a championship, and that is
to
finishing.
Pick up points. Exactly. Yeah, and and again, big, not a huge surprise. I think coming into the season, the biggest question with Bailey was going to be, how well he would adapt to these GT3 cars after having been running the prototypes for so long, and obviously a huge difference in the driving dynamics. Never mind the fact that he now had to worry about, for example, right there as we watch Ryan Reisman, our leader, having to now contend with the faster prototype traffic working its way through behind him rather than the other way around.
Yeah. Well, this battle has finally come to it. Ricmotech and Fredericks. Again, I'm not sure how long we're going to see this battle. At some point, I anticipate Ryan Ricmotech's going to have to come in for one more stop, and maybe Dalton Fredericks does too, and we just don't know it. But Fredericks is doing the hard part, and that is getting close.
The question is, Larry, did Fredericks lose any speed by using the windshield wiper there, where it wasn't in the optimum aerodynamic position?
At least 1/100 of a second.
Jim Pfeiffer coming in for another pit stop in his LMP2 car. This may be planned, Larry.
Pfeiffer may have stopped very early after some of those early incidents and was never going to make it all the way.
Yeah.
Look at this. Fredericks, does he try to move, or do you think he knows that perhaps Ricmotech needs another stop? I got to figure that he doesn't know what Ricmotech's strategy is, and Dalton's going to try and make a move as soon as he can. The question is, where is the safest place around here to make a move? Don't know that anywhere, maybe turn 10.
10
maybe coming into sunset. I almost wonder if going into 1 is actually the safer move.
Well, for the moment, they've got a decent amount of clear track ahead of them.
Maybe, if anything, backing off here a little bit to give some space. That way, if he thinks he's close on fuel, this actually might be an opportunity for Dalton to save a little bit. Now Dalton comes in tonight, he's 12 points down. He's got a whole bunch of podiums, though. Second place, Road Atlanta, a couple rounds back. He had third at Spa. He won the opening round at Indy. So he's in this fight as much as anybody there in GTP. And with Rose and Dibble both suffering issues tonight, opportunity big time here for Dalton Fredericks to score some points.
So we're a little bit over 2/3 of the way through, and it is Ryan Ricmotech, your leader in GTP, Dalton Fredericks, and then Jim Pfeiffer in third. But Larry, with Pfeiffer running third in GTP, I don't think that tells the whole story, because we have almost the entire LMP2 field splitting Dalton Fredericks and Jim Pfeiffer right now. That there's a good chance that at the moment Josh Chinsky, and there's Caleb Lehman, and Lehman's been slowly closing things back up.
Yeah.
To Josh Chinsky, but one of those two drivers stand a pretty good chance of finishing this race on the overall podium, as we see now Dalton Fredericks right up to the gearbox of Ryan Ricmotech. Is he tried to make it work there going into 10.
Just not there yet. He's gonna have to keep pushing. He's gonna find another spot. Watch these guys set up differences. Who's got more downforce for the twisties? Who's got less, maybe for better straight line speed? Of course, different cars. You've got the Cadillac of Ricmotech and the Porsche of Fredericks. They have different strengths. Fredericks backing off here. Jennifer McDonald, Mariano Barrios in front of them. Barrios, I think, down a couple laps. Jennifer down 2 laps from the leaders in GT3. Barrios down another 4 laps from there.
Remember, Barrios was involved in that earlier incident on the front straight.
Yeah, Barrios just pulled down the pits there as we watch them come down the front straight. But look at this here, as Lehman maybe has an opportunity. Nope, backs out of it here going into 10. But remember, we But you seem to think maybe Chinsky's got this, and he pulls 2 seconds ahead. Next thing you know, there's Caleb right back on his gearbox.
Right back there again.
I don't think this is over yet. Like, if anyone's going to end Joss's streak, it's going to be likely one of his teammates, and Caleb certainly has got the pace here tonight. The other teammate out there, I think, is Kyle Strikers. He's about a minute down from these guys. This battle, as the overall race lead comes into town.
Yeah, and Larry Petrowski's made up a lot of ground here to Bailey Petrowski, as we have a new leader in GTP, Larry. The last time we checked in, Dalton Fredericks had backed off of Ryan Reisman quite a bit going on to the Ullman Straight, but now he takes over the lead. Let's see what happens. Oh, as they come up right onto the back of Greg Brockway.
Yep, little traffic helped him out. That just allows him to stick the nose in here. They come around a tower, and at that point, Reisman just had to back out. He just couldn't continue to fight and push there. So good move there for Fredericks, and a good, smart decision by Reisman to back out of it there. So now they come around through Sunset around Klimovich, and then Bennett there in front of them.
Is that I think that's the 16 of Schwenke.
Actually, I was thinking that was Hartley.
Hartley, maybe?
Thought I saw the yellow, not the green, but it kind of went by in a blur. Well, passes for leads. We just saw one. Do you think we could see another one here in GT3, as Petrowski's shown immense patience here behind young Dragota? How long does Petrowski want to wait? Petrowski having connection issues tonight.
And he reappears.
That might hold you back from making a move. Is when your connection's not so good, the last thing you're going to do is put yourself side by side with somebody, because that's almost certain net code. Mike Dam just faded a couple of car lengths there. Not out of this yet, though. Maybe that's what Bailey's thinking here, is if he goes side by side with Dragota, all he's going to do is slow the two of them down and bring Mike Dam into it. So
right into it.
It might be better to just go ahead and keep your pace going right now and make the move as late as possible. Here with just over 20 minutes to go in this 90-minute epic here tonight. Again, connection issues for Petrowski has got to make him nervous. Remember, he's talked about other sim issues that he's had. The times he's had to reboot his wheel while driving.
While driving, exactly.
So he can drive through these electronic distractions.
We've seen, I think, many times, Larry, where he seems to have some connectivity issues and blinks in and out.
Yeah.
I think probably the biggest concern for Bailey Petrowski is if he ends up getting interviewed by you again when you ask him who his sponsors are. All right, coming on to the pit lane now, Kyle Strikers pitting in from 4th in LMP2.
This will help Jim Pfeiffer's effort to try and finish ahead of the LMP2.
Yes. Well, he's ahead of Strikers now.
I say that, but Pfeiffer, I think, maybe that was Johnson, had just come into the pits a little bit.
I think it was Adam Johnson who came in for his second stop.
Pfeiffer's about a minute down from the leaders in LMP2, so he's got some work to do in the next 20 to try and get around them. Oh no, that's Reisman. That was the grass he was driving out of. That look of disgust on his face for sure isn't one we want to see.
No. All right, let's see if we can get the front end of this sequence and see what happened to him, as we saw Fredericks already starting to open that gap up.
Well, it's the always treacherous tower curve, comes around and just the car doesn't turn in, just pushed.
Yep. There you go, right over at the Flying Fortress, over at the tower turn there, and just ran wide into the dirt like so many cars do.
Well, interestingly is Your leader, Fredericks, is in the pits. I was thinking Reisman needed to go, and guess who's coming behind him?
Reisman's going to follow him in,
Both
Larry.
of them. Whose pit stop is longer? I suspect it might be Reisman because his was shorter the first time, correct? See, they're both going to be in their stops. Who's quicker? The Phantom Power crew or the DNA crew? Exciting.
And Larry, Adam Johnson, his problems continue.
Oh.
Just got word that he was traveling without a rear clip and no rear spoiler.
No,
so
he's
he
not
now is
traveling
coming onto the he's coming
right
onto the pit lane.
He's in the pits. He's been in the pits for a couple minutes.
All right, Dalton Fredericks first out. Ryan Reisman is going to follow,
and
but Larry, I think Reisman lost some ground.
They're going to come in right behind Pfeiffer and a couple of LMP2s. There you go. So that's third place Pfeiffer.
Now being put a lap down.
Yep. Pfeiffer, who just gotten around Josh Vidal, one of our LMP2 cars, for an actual track position.
All right, Larry, Caleb Lehman now pitting in.
I kind of thought this might happen, as LMP2. I do think that Josh Chinsky's got enough to go
fuel
to the finish.
To get to the end.
But Caleb, he pitted much earlier, maybe 10 minutes or 5 minutes before Chinsky, so this is by plan.
All right, well, we'll have to see here, Larry, because I was under the impression that at least based on what they were doing during practice, that the LMP2 cars could probably make it around a little bit less than 40 minutes.
I thought so as well, but I think based on when when Josh Chinsky actually made his stop, he might have been able to stretch it to the 40-plus minutes and leave himself 45. So he might try. We'll see. Meanwhile, Mike Dam is caught up to the back of Bailey Petrowski. Caleb Lehman here is probably going to have a GTP Jim Pfeiffer on his tail in the not-too-distant future here. Gets around Chase West there in that Aerokinetics Corvette. There you go. There's Bailey Petrowski, Mike Dam, Leo Dragotta. Not necessarily in that order.
Dam has really closed things up in the last couple moments here.
He's turning it on here in the final stages, just under 20 minutes to go. Does Petrowski have a good enough internet connection to try and make a pass? Or does young Leo get the win he desperately needs?
So back off the back of Leo Dragotta's McLaren. Look at the ground that Petrowski makes up coming into Sunset. Coming up on a little bit of traffic here, I think, coming down into the hairpin. Who is this? And sticking all the way to the inside. Is that?
That might be.
Maybe John Casey's Corvette.
Yep.
Oh, it looked like a different shade of blue.
It's Casey in the 278. Just sticking to his plan of survive to the finish. Casey right about the middle of the pack there in GT3s tonight. As I tell you, that blinking Petrowski has got to be distracting for Mike Dam.
Yeah, because he's when you're in another car and you have a racer ahead of you blinking in and out, it literally looks like the car is hopping up and down like on a pogo stick. That basically it rears up on its rear haunch, just jumps in the air.
as close as the three of them have been in quite a while, maybe even since shortly after the first the pit stop finished, but more or less nose to tail.
Certainly closer than since the very first pit stop. I mean, this is more along the lines of the first 5 laps or so of the race. Here, as we now only have a little bit less than 15 minutes remaining here at Sebring.
Clear track, at least for the moment, though. And sometimes 2 cars, sometimes 3, depending on Petrowski's connection.
All right, so we're going to stick with this a little while. As I'm looking up and down through the order, this is, I think, probably the most compelling, certainly, of any of the battles we have on track in GTP now. So we see almost 7 seconds separating Fredericks and Ricmotech at the moment, as Ricmotech has fallen even further back from Dalton Fredericks for the time being. And in LMP2, that great battle that we were watching for so long when Caleb Lehman came into the pits. He now is almost 45 seconds back from Josh Chinsky, as we see Chinsky coming underneath one of his, I think Kyle Stryker is one of his SRT Esport teammates.
Petrowski continues to just shadow young Dragotta here, just kind of staying behind him, not really pressuring, maybe waiting for Dragotta to make a mistake, or perhaps Petrowski could even be content to just sit back and not pressure it, just finish the second place points.
Yeah.
Second place points will go a long way towards this championship here in round 6 out of 8.
Yeah, I mean, and especially knowing where Leo came into this race in the standings, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing to give up a couple points. And we talked about Leo being down in 18th position when the evening started. Mike Dam came into the evening in 22nd in the points. So Bailey Petrowski, he's got a lot to gain, not a lot to lose. Even if he comes in 3rd.
Absolutely. The guys around him all sort of fading away. This is the best thing, is just secure a reasonable number of points and work your way to the end, as Josh Vidal now pits from 3rd in LMP2. Charlie Hosea gets around him here for that 3rd spot.
And he does.
Yeah. Strikers as well.
And oddly enough, Larry, as this race is worn on and as we get towards the end of these long stints, the Corvette looks a lot less skittish under low fuel loads for some reason. When early on in stints we saw how some of the other Orion racers were affected, but even then Mike Dam's car did not look to be the best handling car, especially coming down into the S's.
That might be Mike Dam's strategy, is just to make the car so it works in the last 20 minutes and survive the first 70. And there's spots where he looked quick down through the Le Mans curves as well. He's a little slower here through the sunset than Petrowski in front of him, but damn, there's definitely parts of this track where that car is working well, and he needs to use those points to his advantage. Again, the great disappearing act of Bailey Petrowski, about 3 times a lap, it seems. Well, the GTP's Dalton Fredericks continues to open up that lead over Ryan Reisman, now up over 9 seconds and counting quickly.
And Larry, what a surprise. Josh Chinsky not going to be able to make it all the way to the end of this race. And with about 9 minutes remaining, our GTP leader comes down the pit lane for service number 2. The question is, how long is it going to take? Because here's Caleb Lehman now coming into Jean de Bienne and onto the Ullman Straight.
The splash and go of all splash and goes. All he needs is just a little bit and get going again. But he's still in his pit box. I don't think Lehman's going to get there unless Chinsky makes a mistake. Remember, when you make 2 stops, you have to turn the tire changing off or it'll start doing it.
And I think that might be what's happened, Larry, is he comes out after 25 seconds in his pit box. Caleb Lehman was only in his pit box for 19.
That's a long pit stop with only 8 minutes to go in this race. Look at this.
And Lehman, I think, here is going to retake the lead. Indeed, he does. Caleb Lehman gets around Josh Chinsky here on the pit exchange.
Wow.
With only 8 minutes remaining.
Can the teammate and end the streak? Can Caleb Lehman end this 5-race winning streak that Josh Chinsky's been on? Can he do it here, boldly right in front of him? I do wonder, Chinsky, did he in fact just have an error there on his pit strategy? Because 9 minutes, you shouldn't need 35 seconds of fuel or whatever the number was.
No, he was in the pit box, Larry, taking a look for almost 6 full seconds longer than Caleb Lehman.
Shouldn't need to. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, here's the rest of the battle. This is the podium fight here between Kyle Strikers and Charlie Hosea. Hosea right now with the advantage, but Strikers is pushing. Strikers has been faster in most recent laps. Meanwhile, here comes Chinsky now. This should be the aggressive side of Josh. Jennifer McDonald right there in front of them. Maybe an opportunity here for Chinsky. He's going to try and take it. Is that contact?
A little tap on the back of Jennifer McDonald here, but Chinsky manages to keep the car moving and holds off.
Wow.
Probably Lehman holds off Chinsky for the moment.
Chinsky, I couldn't tell if he hit Jennifer or actually hitting the back of Lehman. They were so close between all 3 of them. Again, Chinsky. And who's that behind them coming through? Is that Jordan Butler or is that Reisman? It's definitely one of the DNAs.
I think it looks like the Acura, where that's going to be Jordan Butler right back behind. Butler running 4th in GTP.
Yes, he's got no urgency to get by them. He's not in any kind of a fight right now. He can sit back and watch this battle ensue. Meanwhile, with just under 6 minutes to go, this hasn't changed, but it just gets closer, it seems, every time they come around. Just a car length, maybe 2 at the most between Dragotta and Petrowski. Well, Bailey's has to pressure now because Mike Dam's pressuring the back of Petrowski. You got no choice. At some point, you've either got to get busy getting past or get busy passing.
Passing, exactly.
Meanwhile, right, looks like the same thing as just a moment ago. It's like a replay. This time, though, it looks like Chinsky's going to keep his foot in it.
Yeah, and Larry, and not only that, but Caleb Lehman came over to driver's right to actually gave Chinsky an out as Chinsky was bottled up behind that GT3 car, and Lehman, nice move by a teammate, actually let him get himself out of that mess.
Yeah, I thought for a second it was just like we had seen with Jennifer McDonald in that same corner just a lap or 2 ago, but here you go. Lehman still with the inside line. He's going to protect. Chinsky can't make his way by. They're going to come up with another lapped car. They got Stacy Bertrand in the Rockefeller Racing Mustang. So far, Lehman catching the lap cars at the right spots for his cause. Now it's going to be Brian Bennett's the next GT3 car they're going to get around. It's Ben Rose just up there in front of them. They've gone by them. Bennett not giving a lot of room, is he?
No, he's not. There's Jeff Jacobs, the widest Corvette in all the land.
That's saying something. Those Corvettes are wide. Look at this, Chinsky pushing Lehman to the inside. They're going to go side by side through 10.
Oh my!
All the way around the tower. Can he hold it though? He's got
Lehman
the inside
getting
line.
very, very loose as they're going to come around. He's going to have inside position going into the tower turn, but Chinsky's going to go right around the outside.
Unbelievable side-by-side moment there for the teammates. And Chinsky comes out ahead. I thought for a second Lehman was going to have that inside line, wasn't able to hold it. And now can he get it back? Can he do the same thing in return?
All right. And Larry, let's jump over real quick because we've got two battles going on right now as Leo Dragotta has his issues coming out of the hairpin. And it is Leo Dragotta now under attack by Bailey Petrowski.
Part of the track, a half a lap later, as Bailey's going to do the same thing. He's going to buy the outside line. He's going to push the other car to the inside, which then turns outside back to inside for Leo. Leo's going to try and hold that line. Bailey's going to take the outside through tower. This time the inside line pays off for Leo. He could breathe for a second, but that was tense.
All right, let's jump back over to that LMP2 battle for the time being here, as our racers are now starting lap number 48. Or actually, no, they're lap down from Fredrickson and Reisman. Starting lap number 48. Larry, and based on where Fredericks is, I think we're going to have probably one more lap after this for the LMP2 racers.
Fredericks should be coming up on the back of the LMP2 leaders, I think.
Oh, it's going to be close. Bailey Petrowski taking the wide line like Daytona wide, going through Sunset.
Dale Earnhardt.
And that's because Leo Dragotta's out of fuel, Larry, and Leo Dragotta pits in from the lead. And he is going to come in for a splash of gas at the end. Remember, he ran one lap fewer than both Petrowski and Dam did on the opening stint.
And remember, Taj Edwards waited. He was the last one to pit, and Edwards isn't going to have to now, and he's going to get around Dragotta as well. So Leo's going to lose 3 spots.
Lyndon Swaby comes down the pit lane with what is going to be a lap to go. The Canadian McLaren now on the pit lane from 5th. He's going to probably drop back through the order as Leo Dragotta rejoins the action behind Taj Edwards. So the number 42 Corvette now elevated to 3rd position.
Well, there you go. There's Fredericks getting what appears to be the white flag this time by. Once he gets around Sunset, we should see Barney waving the white flag for him.
And Larry, look what's right ahead of him. Right ahead of him is Caleb Lehman and Josh Chinsky. This is going to turn into the last lap for them, likely as well.
Maybe if he makes his way by, if he decides to be aggressive here in the last lap of the 14-second lead, or does he give these guys what they may not want, which is one more lap? They should both have enough fuel. We just watched them stop in the last 15 minutes, so there's not a fuel issue with these two. But certainly, if you're Josh Chinsky, you want this thing over sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, these two are going to get a lap and a half, as that might be exactly what Mike Dam wants.
So Bailey Petrowski, he is your new GT3 leader. Mike Dam running in 2nd, and when they cross the line, they will be starting their final lap. Directly behind them, Larry, we were watching that battle for the last podium spot in LMP2. Kyle Strikers has managed to get around Charlie Hosea since the last time we checked in. So the 07 car trying to hold on to 3rd right now in LMP2 as he comes up on our GT3 leaders. He's going to clear them. Let's see what happens with Hosea, because Hosea was going into the corner side by side with Petrowski, and it looks like he manages to clear both the GT3 races.
Just barely sneaked between them and got to the inside of Petrowski just in time for Petrowski to hit the brakes to go in through 3. I tell you what, that is sketchy, but if you're Mike Dam, you got to be thinking all this traffic's creating opportunities for you here on what's now the last lap.
And there's Dalton Fredericks coming out of the final corner, and Larry, he ends up slotting right between Caleb Lehman and Josh Chinsky. And so your overall winner is going to be Dalton Fredericks. Caleb Lehman's race, it is now done. He's going to finish second in LMP2, while Josh Chinsky will go for the lead. And here it is. Here is the battle for GT3 lead.
It's the same part of the track. Who is that?
Who is that coming across the track is Mike Dam. That was Charlie Hosea coming across the track, and Mike Dam uses it to his advantage. He's going to take the lead on the last lap. Bailey Petrowski, and Larry, we were talking about how Petrowski really just needed to come home safely here, as Mike Dam's sitting in the lower half of the GT3 points championship right now. And Petrowski had nothing to lose, but Petrowski almost had the entire race just flash ahead of his eyes there. Mike Dam coming onto the Ullman Straight is your leader. And barring some big changes, he's going to take the win in GT3.
90 and a half minutes of work almost came to an end there for Petrowski, but one more corner, he should be able to get a second place, which still will do a lot for his points for Mike Dam. What a race. He's been sitting in third pretty much the entire night until all of a sudden Leo Jagoda runs out of fuel and Bailey Petrowski can't hang on to it. And it's Mike Dam getting the win in GT3.
All right, and there you go. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened here, Larry. And there's Charlie Hosea.
Goes in through 10, and he just loses it on the turn in and parks himself just past the exit there. And he tried to get out of the way. I got to give him effort for that, but that was close.
Yeah, it came right across the nose of Bailey Petrowski in the process there. All right, so in GTP, Dalton Fredericks is your winner. Ryan Reisman will finish second. Jim Pfeiffer fights back up into third. In LMP2, Josh Chinsky. The streak continues, Larry. 6 wins in a row, with Caleb Lehman finishing second. Kyle Strikers will come home in third. And in GT3, Mike Dam, your winner. Bailey Petrowski second. And Taj Edwards comes home in third. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back and talk to some of our podium finishers here from Sebring, where you have just seen round number 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Sebring International Raceway, where we've just seen, wow, nice burnout there from Mariano, where you've just seen round number 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge. Let's run down our class winners again, our podium finishers in GTP. Dalton Fredericks from Phantom Power Racing takes the win with Ryan Reisman second, Jim Pfeiffer in third. In LMP2, Josh Chinsky with the win. His teammate from SRT Esport, Caleb Lehman, finishes second. And rounding out the trifecta for SRT, Kyle Strikers finishes in third. And then finally in GT3, Mike Dam from Orion takes the win with Bailey Petrowski from D2D second. Taj Edwards will finish in third. And Larry, you know, typically at the very end of these rounds, we have a photo taken on the start-finish line for all of our podium finishers. And what we saw at the end there, because both Mike Dam as well as Bailey Petrowski ran out of fuel just past the checkered flag, we saw Mariano Barrios actually pushing Petrowski back up to the photo area with Petrowski in neutral or reverse. It was pushing backwards up to the photo because there was no way they were going to go take another lap. All right, so let's take a look at the green room, Larry, and we have 2 of our 3 winners here waiting for us. Why don't we bring in first Dalton Fredericks from Phantom Power Racing, tonight's overall winner, tonight's GTP winner.
Dalton Fredericks, I tell you, what a crazy night. Amazing races going on here. But boy, did you push so hard to catch Reisman to make that pass. How hard did you have to work, and how rewarding was it to see that you could make that stick and then stay in the lead after your pits?
Yeah.
You still there? Did we lose him?
Did
Hello?
we lose?
Can you hear me?
There he
There you
is.
are, yeah.
There
Yeah.
we go.
I might have to adjust my settings. Give me a second here. Sorry,
worries.
guys.
No worries.
How's this? Can you hear me better?
Oh, yeah, this is great.
Yeah. Very
Perfect. Sorry about that. Anyways, yeah, it was a great race there. We spun right off the start, and so we kind of started in the hole and had to make our way back. Just stayed steady and kept running consistent laps, trying to minimize all mistakes, and we were able to catch Ryan Reisman. He must have had a great strategy because I didn't know how I went from in front of him to behind him after the pit stop, but kudos to him. But I was slipping and sliding. I was surprised I was able to get around him, but I was able to use the lap traffic to my advantage. But good racing between the 2 of us.
Yeah, that pass that you guys had, the side-by-side from 10 all the way down through Tower, was pretty impressive stuff. It was just unbelievable. The whole action here tonight was great. And for you, I look at the points coming into tonight, and you were looking up at a couple of the guys who never really made it past turn 1. Were you aware that they were also kind of involved in that? They may have suffered more than you did?
Yeah, I kind of saw it coming going into turn 1, and so I just stayed track right, and I saw it starting to happen. I was like, well, I got to take the grass. So I used the grass and was able to keep it under control, turn it into a rally car for a little bit, and got back on track.
Yeah, unbelievable. Great recovery there. Get yourself in that position. Fuel stops all work, but you had great pace come the end of this, and I can't wait to see the points refresh because you needed a win as much as anybody to stay in this fight with the 2 other guys out there in front of you, and that's exactly what you got. How does it make you feel? Is that satisfying to get that win, knowing that you needed it at this point?
Oh yeah, it's really great. We definitely needed those points. Ben Rose and Dibbles, they're stupid fast. I mean, usually if they didn't have mistakes, I was for sure coming in third at least. Maybe Ryan and I would have had a battle there again at the end, but them 2 guys are just so fast week in and week out. Kudos to them guys. But yeah, it's awesome we were able to capitalize on their mistakes and pull out a win.
Yeah, well, awesome job there. So congrats on the win, but I'm sure you got some teams and friends you'd like to thank for helping you along the way.
Oh yeah, I'd like to thank All Star 15 TV, sponsoring the car, helping us out and everything. Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast. We got Effective CPR. We have Ryan Fry Trucking, HPC Custom Computers. Everyone at the shop, Drinking Bros, Hard Seltzer. Go check that out. JVM Graphics. And AC Aegis. Thank you everyone there for helping us out, sponsoring the car. I'd like to thank Jake Zito for helping me in this race, trying to figure out if I had enough fuel there at the end. I was kind of nervous about that, but thank you to him and Josh for the help on track, Joe Hutchings for everything you do at the shop with setups and everything. So thank you to everyone that's involved, and hopefully we can come back at it next race and maybe get another win.
Awesome job tonight. Dalton Fredericks getting the win for Phantom Power Racing, your second win of the year. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right, Larry, and we're going to give him an extra 2 weeks to try and figure out who his sponsors are. So no,
he got them all. I think.
I don't know. Well, no. Dalton was great, but I was saying
Bailey
Petrowski. He's got at least a 2-week reprieve because our GT3 winner tonight is here in the green room. Let's bring him in from Orion Racing, driver of the number 93 Chevy Corvette, Mike Dam.
All right, Mike Dam. It's been a bit of a rough middle of the season here, but you got back into winning form tonight in dramatic fashion. You managed to hold on to just enough fuel to make it to the finish. Your teammate didn't, and then that pass to get around Bailey. Goodness gracious, what an intense last 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, that was the longest game of chess I think I've ever played. Sorry, I don't have a song for you today, but I got nothing left, so that was
just completely flat out of gas at this point, just like the race car.
No, that was an awesome race by Bailey as well. Me and him, just in order to save that much fuel, it's basically an art, and man, it's tiring too. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, we saw you guys last one lap longer than what most of the GT3 field, including Leo, did. And then we saw your other teammate, Taj Edwards, who ends up finishing third tonight. He actually went one lap longer than you did. How does he do that, let alone how do you guys go 45 minutes on one tank of fuel? Give us your secrets and whatever you can tell us.
Yeah, it's just trying to maximize the coasting into the braking zones, right? So you coast early, you brake late, and you try to build that same lap time in a different way, right? And you're saving the tires, you're keeping the tire temps down at the same time. It's just a mix of that, and you can actually be very close to a full pace.
Yeah, because it's not like the three of you out in front were slow. You were pulling away from everyone, the entire field behind you. Between the three of you, all could have stopped one more time, as Leo showed. He still ends up fourth, even taking the second fuel stop. You guys were definitely pushing a strong pace for the entire 90 minutes, and that's as impressive as anything here. But for you, it's you needed a win. I don't know that you're going to get enough points this season to be able to fight for the championship, but it's got to be satisfying to take a win in what I think is the deepest field of any class we've ever had on these Monday nights.
Yeah, I mean, you looked at the times of practice, and it was 3:10s covered the top 10, so that's pretty awesome for the league to grow like that. Yeah, I know not in the championship, but yeah, it definitely feels good to run pole to the victory. That's pretty sweet. I don't know if that's happened this season yet. Oh, maybe it happened race one, but they're few and far between these days.
They definitely are, but it's great. I think I love this aspect of competitiveness and the depth of this class, that everyone's fighting for every point they can get to have a chance at the championship, and this is the way it goes. But it's the best thing there is. So awesome job tonight getting the win, but I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank.
Yeah, all the guys at Orion, everybody in the league. Like you said, the field's so deep, it's awesome. Frank Rico, our sponsors, Jeff and Bobby, who put it together. Shout out to Kevin. He's away for a bit, but we all miss him a lot. So he's the brains behind a lot of this. And thanks to you guys for broadcasting.
All right, well, appreciate that. Definitely to Kevin for sure. See you back soon, Kevin, for sure. But all right, so tonight, getting the win here in GT3, Mike Damp and Ryan Race Team. Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Larry, let's wrap up our interviews tonight with our LMP2 winner this evening. Running the table so far this season with 6 wins in 6 races from SRT Esport, it's Josh Chinsky.
All right, Josh. Some nights like this, we'll say you made it look easy tonight. I tell you what, you made it look really hard. You and that teammate, Caleb, boy, did you guys have a good race.
Yeah, this was an awesome one. I mean, this is the kind of racing that really, just for both as a driver and for the spectators, I mean, that's the kind of race you want to see. It's close, tight, comes down to strategy. Unfortunately, in the end there, I actually I got distracted in between my first pit stop and my last, and I didn't uncheck tires. So I took tires and lost 18 seconds. You guessed it right,
Larry.
We suspected that when we saw the pit stop taking a little long. I said sometimes you could do 2 stops. You can't set that up during the grid to do 2. So
Yep. We're teammates. We were all just talking and chatting to each other during the race, and it's one of the first times I've kind of let myself get distracted a little bit, since there was a little bit of a gap. And I almost lost to it. So I do want to shout out on stream, make it a public acknowledgement. I don't know if the stream caught it. Caleb and I had a little bit of contact on lap 46. He had a little bit of rear wheel slide, which caused him to slow up a little bit more than I thought. So it puts a little bit of a sour taste in the mouth to have a win. I mean, I still think I could have gotten him only because of the fresh tires. If I was on the same rubber as he was, there's no way. But I want to make sure I said that out loud for everybody, because I got to own up to that.
Yeah, you guys did some great close racing though in those laps to really, you could tell near the end you both had finished all your fuel stops and you guys were just pushing hard. The close runs coming off of the S's onto the back straight, and of course then the moves then through the rest of the laps. It was just unbelievably close racing, and it looked like it really tonight for the first time in a while had me itching to get back in the car and do some driving. It was inspiring to watch.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it felt that good in the car, so I'm glad we were able to put on a show for you guys. Another podium lockout for SRT. Fingers crossed. Yeah. We'll see where we're at with the podium position in regards to the team championship. I think we might have taken it back over, but it's still 2 races left to go, 2 great tracks, and the season. I mean, like it's racing. It's not over until the last car crosses the checkered line.
Absolutely. So awesome job tonight. 6 wins in 6 rounds. None of them are easy, but you're still getting it done. Josh, anybody else you want to thank for helping you tonight?
Shout out to Kyle. Really stuck it in there. He actually he loaded up a spa set for this race and completely messed up with his cornering speed and everything. Still pulled out a nice P3. Shout out to him. Shout out to SRT for all the prep work. I mean, as always, you guys are awesome. I appreciate all the support. You guys make me faster, and as it showed when Caleb really puts in the work, he forces me to be on my best. Shout out to Mom and Dad. Appreciate you guys watching. Shout out to Apex for providing the broadcast, and shout out to XMS for running an awesome league. I'm excited to finish the season strong.
Well, awesome job getting another win here, Josh, for SRT Esport. Congrats.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, there you go. Josh Chinsky, your winner tonight and points leader in LMP2. All right, Larry, as we're interviewing our winners tonight, we got the point standings updated, so let's take a quick look there. We'll start off with GTP, where we came into the evening with a tie for the championship lead between Ben Rose and Tanner Dibble, both from DNA Motorsports. So after tonight, Ben Rose maintains that championship lead, but there's a huge change in the championship as Dalton Fredericks moves up into second position, leapfrogs Tanner Dibble, and only 3 points separate Ben Rose from Dalton Fredericks, and another 3 back to Tanner Dibble. So we have a heck of a fight here for the GTP championship with just 2 rounds remaining. If we move over to LMP2, where we came into the evening with Josh Chinsky having a 31-point lead over the rest of the field, and obviously not going to be any worse for wear this evening. He now leads the field by 39 points. Caleb Lehman, his SRT Esport teammate, running second in the championship. Lehman leapfrogging Dave Meneno, and Meneno, by nature of not being here tonight, Larry, drops from second in the championship down to, let's take a look here. He moves over into 7th in the championship. Loses a lot of points there. So it's Lehman and then Josh Vidal running third in the championship. So let's look over at GT3, where our championship leader is Bailey Petrowski. He was your leader coming into the evening. He had a 32-point advantage on the rest of the field. He has now extended that to 46 points. Brian Bennett from Sector 5, second in the championship. And Travis Schwenke, by nature of his finish tonight and Ilya Speaker's unspeakable challenges and problems tonight, Travis Schwenke now moves up into third into the championship. He's 28 points back behind Bennett, 74 out of the championship. And Alexander Brown leapfrogs Ilya Speaker as well. He's going to move that Eagle Beaver machine now up into fourth in the championship. So big changes there in GT3. All right, so let's look at what we've got coming up here in the next couple of weeks across our different Ricmotech series. Next Monday night, November 25th, the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge for our GT4 and LMP3 racers will be right here, Larry, at Sebring International Raceway. Had some changes and alterations to the schedule. It was originally scheduled to be Zolder, but we're not going to be going to Belgium until the final round of the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge. But next week we'll be back here at Sebring for 2 35-minute races. In 2 weeks, the World Challenge heads to the National Park of Speed, Road America, for round number 7, another 75-minute race. And then again in 3 weeks, the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge will have its finale at Zolder. And of course, don't forget, coming in January, it is the Ricmotech Touring Car Cup for our GR86 Cup and MX5 Cup cars. And if you want to find out about joining that league, you can head to xmsracing.com. So for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll see you next Monday night. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.